Time for an in-depth look at the market action today, and for that I'm joined here in the studio by Dr. Sei-wan, Professor of Economics at Ewha Womans University. Thank you for joining us today.
Pleasure to be here.
Now, the US has announced a plan to impose fresh tariffs on the European Union after the two sides agreed on what they called a ceasefire last year. What do you think prompted the change of heart in the Trump administration, and what kind of products or services do you think these new tariffs will target?
Actually, after discontinuation of trade negotiation between EU and US, Trump administration has been pretty cautious on having another round of negotiation with the EU because they have been waiting for the judgment of WTO regarding EU's subsidies on Airbus. But after having WTO's judgment yesterday, which is pretty much favorable on US side, U.S. trade representative says they will impose tariffs on imports from EU at the size of the $7.5 billion. And the main targets of the tariffs will be agricultural products and aircrafts.
Now, if the US is already in a trade war with China, so that's also having an effect on the global economy. Now they're kind of declaring a trade war with the EU. This will certainly have an impact on the global economy, and it will suffer even more as it is. What is your outlook after these fresh tariffs?
The size of trade between the two continents is about $1 trillion per year, which is the size of the half of Korean GDP. So it is true that if the trade conflicts between EU and US is going into something the worsened level, that's going to be another risk factor of the global economy. But this time, EU is not trying to retaliate against the US tariff. Instead, they are trying to talk more with US governments for avoiding further conflicts. So I believe that the impact of the two continents' trade situation is kind of limited for this time.
Now, looking at a trade conflict closer to home here, it's been about 3 months now since Japan took measures to restrict exports of key semiconductor components to South Korea. But Tokyo decided to allow shipments of hydrogen fluoride just for Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix, the world's two largest chip makers. Why do you think Japan made the exceptions for these companies?
I believe that Abe administration has a big concern on Japanese products business situation over Japanese government's export restrictions on Korea. And it is also said that both of Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix have found a substitute for Japanese produced materials. I think that's the major reason why Abe administration gave permission to the export to Korea. So the situation related to Japanese government's restrictions on Korea, it is not actually affecting Korean economy that much.
Well, looking at some local economic data, new data this week revealed that consumer prices in September had fallen for the first time in 54 years.
Right.
What has caused the decline, and how likely do you think we'll enter deflationary territory, as many are fearing?
Well, the largest reason for negative inflation or deflation of September is weaker demand for goods and services, which has been driven by a recession of the Korean economy. In addition, there are some temporal reasons for that, like agricultural products and oil-related products price has been decreased over 9%. So given that situation, I believe that it is too early to say that we are under a deflationary region because there is high possibility that prices are going up until the end of the year. However, the negative inflation continues by the end of the year. We have to seriously worry about the deflation of the country.
Now, lastly, Dr. Kim, amid the ongoing US, China, and possibly the US-EU trade dispute and the Korea-Japan trade dispute here, what do you think should be done to help cushion the impact on both the local economy here and maybe globally as well?
Well, that is a really tough question because that solution includes lots of political and social issues.
Right.
So I believe that there should be stronger movements on fiscal policy and monetary policy together. And that also means that the cooperation between central bank and governments became very important. So if we go through expansionary fiscal policy, that also means that we have to have more government debt, which is a burden of future generation. So before implementing that fiscal policy, we have to have something consensus between Korean people.
Right. Okay, Dr. Kim, it's a pleasure to have you here in the studio with your astute observations as always. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much.